Welcome, fellow strugglers, to the first episode of Looking Back at Berserk, the 1997 anime. This will be a complete retrospective with spoilers and some spoilers for the manga. If you haven't watched the series or read the manga, I highly recommend that you do both. Kentaro Miura's Berserk is a masterpiece, in my opinion, which is why I'm revisiting this series, which I absolutely love. Today, we'll be discussing the first episode of the series titled The Black Swordsman. This is a notable episode because it's the only official adaptation of the first chapter of the Black Swordsman arc from the manga. First, let's do a quick recap of the episode. The episode opens with Godo forging the Dragon Slayer while Guts watches. Then we roll into the opening theme. I'm planning on doing a completely separate episode discussing all the music in the series because I am a huge fan. Then we cut to Guts walking in the rain, looking like a badass already. Then we go into a tavern where the patrons are talking before a group of soldiers bust in. They're assaulting a girl. Then we get our first use of Guts' automatic crossbow. And then the epic first use of the Dragon Slayer with Guts cutting one of the soldiers in half with the slab of iron. Absolutely awesome. He leaves one of the soldiers alive and he tells him to tell his boss that the Black Swordsman has arrived. Then we cut to the minister finding out this information. Then we cut to the Baron also finding out this information from the soldier that Guts let live. We cut to Guts in the forest. He's hearing voices, seeing evil spirits, and then we get a glimpse of the God Hand and Femto. Guts yelling, "Griffith!" This is an awesome scene. We get Guts' brand bleeding, iconic. Then we cut to the Snake Baron and the minister talking, and then the Snake Baron loses it. He kills everyone, including the minister. This is also the first instance of the still images that this series uses a lot. I'm guessing it was for budgetary reasons. It's one of the things that you hear people bring up the most when they're criticizing the show. I actually don't mind them, but it is something that you're going to see throughout the show. I find that they often use it to cut between when they need to do epic animation. So here I don't really mind it at all. Then we get Guts versus the Snake Baron. Awesome fight. We get Guts' first use of the hand cannon. He's pushed back, picks up the Dragon Slayer, cuts the Snake Baron in half. Then Guts torturing the Snake Baron with his crossbow. You get a glimpse into Guts' state of mind in this point of time, which is so important. Then Guts takes the bayonet, looks at it, and flashes back to his fight with Bezuzo, and that's the end of the first episode. So this is actually one of my favorite episodes of the series. I love being able to see the first chapter of the Black Swordsman arc. I really wish that they had finished the rest of the arc before starting the Golden Age, especially because I feel like the ending of the Black Swordsman arc with Guts seeing the God Hand confronting Femto works better as it transitions to the flashback to the Golden Age as opposed to the end of this episode, where I feel like it doesn't make as much sense. The most glaring omission for the episode is Puck not being there. I get why they didn't include him. He's a major character in the manga, and this is only one episode. It's really a showcase for Guts and just kind of throwing you into the world, and you're not going to have Puck for the rest of the episodes, obviously, because they're a flashback. I do wish he was there, though. I understand why they didn't put him in there, but I wish he was there. Then one interesting little tidbit is when we cut to the tavern and the owner and the patron are talking about King Griffith. I find it interesting that they're talking about that at this point in the series. It doesn't really make much sense in context with what happens and how the timeline works in the manga, but I found it interesting, and it's something I always forget about, and then when I rewatch the episode, I'm always like, oh, hey, that's an interesting little tidbit. The first scene with Godo forging Dragon Slayer with Guts, I actually really like that scene. Obviously, he had already forged it in the manga for a king, and then he was banished, and then Guts uses it. But I like that opening scene, and I like that they included that, because if they had done it the manga version, it doesn't really work in the context of the series. So really nice opening scene. The animation in this series I absolutely love. This is a peak time for animation, in my opinion. Like I said earlier, I'm going to do an episode just dedicated to the music of this show. And we're off and running. The first episode, The Black Swordsman. Please subscribe, comment, like, and stay tuned for the next episode.